60 days or he's out, my daughter-in-law said. She didn't know the eviction notice coming tomorrow would have my signature on it. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and write in the comments, where are you listening from? I wasn't supposed to hear it. But sound carries in a house you built with your own hands, through walls you measured and cut, over floors you laid board by board. I was standing in the hallway outside my son's home office when my daughter-in-law's voice drifted through the crack in the door, sharp, dismissive. The kind of tone you use when you think nobody important is listening. We need to start charging him rent or give him a move-out date. I'm serious, Marcus. The him was me. I stood there holding a basket of laundry I'd just folded. Hers, my son's, their 2 daughters, every shirt pressed, every sock matched. I'd been doing it every Tuesday for 3 years, since I moved in after my wife died. Marcus, my son, sighed. Not the kind of sigh that means disagreement. The kind that means he's tired of the conversation but doesn't disagree with the premise. He does help out, Marcus said, weakly, like he was reading from a script he didn't believe. Help out? Victoria laughed. It wasn't a warm sound. Marcus, he's 71 years old. He shuffles around here like a ghost, cooking weird food the girls won't eat, taking up the guest room we could be using as my home office. And he hasn't contributed a dime to the mortgage in 3 years. Weird food. She meant the Italian dishes my wife taught me. The Sunday gravy that simmered for 6 hours. The braciole. The sfogliatelle I made from scratch every Christmas. I looked down at the laundry basket, at Victoria's silk blouses, $43 each to dry clean. I'd been hand-washing them in the sink with baby shampoo for 2 years because she mentioned once it was expensive. We took him in out of kindness, Victoria continued. But kindness has limits. My parents would never expect us to just house them indefinitely. They have their own lives, their own resources. Victoria's parents had a 4-bedroom condo in Scottsdale and a vacation home in Sedona. My resources were a Social Security check and the savings account I'd been draining to buy birthday gifts for my granddaughters. $700 left, maybe $800. I set the laundry basket down on the hall table as quietly as I could. My hands didn't shake. Not yet. That would come later. What do you want me to do? Marcus asked. Talk to him. Give him 60 days. There are senior communities, assisted living. He'd probably be happier around people his own age anyway. Around people his own age. I was 71, not 90. I still drove, still cooked, still woke up at 6 every morning to make coffee and read the newspaper before anyone else stirred. Still helped my granddaughters with their homework. Emma had told me last week I was better at explaining fractions than her math tutor, but I was a ghost, taking up space, cooking weird food. I picked up the basket and walked back to my room, the guest room. It was small, pale yellow walls, a double bed, a single window that looked out over the backyard I'd landscaped 2 summers ago when they complained the yard looked shabby compared to the neighbors. I'd spent 4 weeks on my knees in the August heat, laying sod and planting hydrangeas and building a stone border around the flower beds. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the laundry basket. 43 years I'd worked as a site manager for a commercial construction firm. 43 years of dawn starts and concrete dust and budget meetings. I'd built shopping centers, office complexes, a hospital wing. I'd retired at 67 with a decent pension that I'd rolled into an annuity to make sure Margaret and I would be comfortable. Then Margaret got sick. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. 11 months from diagnosis to funeral. Every dollar of that annuity went to experimental treatments. Insurance wouldn't cover. Clinical trials. Specialists. Flights to Houston. To Boston. To a clinic in Germany that promised cutting-edge immunotherapy. She died anyway. I sold our house to pay off the medical debt. $62,000 after the funeral costs. I had my Social Security and not much else when Marcus sat across from me at the lawyer's office and said, "Dad, come stay with us. You shouldn't be alone right now." Victoria had smiled. Touched my hand. "We'd love to have you. 3 years ago. 3 years of cooking and cleaning and grocery shopping and yard work and babysitting and being invisible, except when they needed something." I looked at the laundry basket again. Then I opened the drawer of the bedside table and pulled out my phone. Not the smartphone Marcus had tried to get me to use. My old flip phone. The one that made calls and nothing else. I dialed a number I hadn't called in 8 months. Rothman and Associates. "This is Jennifer." "Jennifer, hi. This is Thomas Brennan. Is Joel available?" "Mr. Brennan, hold on. Let me check." 30 seconds of hold music. Classical. Something by Vivaldi. "Tommy!" Joel's voice boomed through the line. Joel Rothman had handled the sale of my house. Before that, he'd handled the purchase. Before that, he'd been Margaret's classmate at Brooklyn College. We'd known each other 40 years. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine, Joel. I need some information." "Shoot. The property at 2247 Belmont Avenue. Who owns it?" Silence. Then a low whistle. "Tommy, you know who owns it. Say it anyway." "You do. Through the Brennan Family Trust. Has since 1998. 1998. The year Marcus graduated college. The year I bought the building as an investment property. A modest 3-story apartment complex. 6 units. Good neighborhood. Steady renters. Margaret and I had planned to live off the rental income in retirement, supplement the pension, travel a little, see Italy, see Ireland. "Is it still occupied?" I asked. "All 6 units, last I checked. Property management company handles everything. Sends the income direct to your account. You should be seeing, let me pull it up, about $4,200 a month after expenses and management fees. $4,200 a month for 3 years. My son and daughter-in-law lived at 2247 Belmont Avenue, Unit 3A. They'd been living there since they got married 9 years ago. I'd offered it to them as a wedding gift. No rent, just cover your utilities and be good tenants. Marcus knew I owned the building. Victoria didn't. I'd never mentioned it to her. It hadn't seemed important. They were family. "Tommy, you still there?" "I'm here." "Joel, I need you to do something for me. Name it. Draw up a standard lease agreement for Unit 3A, market rate for the neighborhood, and I want formal notice sent to the current occupants that their rent-free arrangement is ending." Another silence. "Tommy, are you sure?" "I'm being evicted from my own property, Joel. 60 days. Assisted living. So yeah, I'm sure." "When do you want this delivered?" I thought about Victoria's voice. "Kindness has limits. Tomorrow." "You got it. Anything else?" "How much is market rate for a 3-bedroom in that building? In that neighborhood?" $2,800. Maybe $3,000. $3,000. Their mortgage payment, my mortgage payment, was $4,100 a month. I knew because I'd seen the statement on Marcus's desk once when I was dusting. They didn't have a mortgage. The building was paid off. I'd settled the loan in 2006 with a bonus from a big commercial project in Newark. They'd been living rent-free in my property for 9 years, paying me a mortgage that went straight into the building's operating account, which I used for maintenance and property taxes. And they were evicting me. "Make it $3,500, I said. That's high for the area. I know, Joel laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. I'll have it couriered tomorrow afternoon. I hung up and sat there holding the phone. My heart was beating fast now. My hands were starting to shake. I wasn't angry yet. That would come. Right now, I just felt cold. The door opened. Emma, my 10-year-old granddaughter, poked her head in. Grandpa? Mom says dinner's ready. I looked at her. Blonde hair and braids. Gap-toothed smile. She was wearing the sweater I'd bought her for her birthday. $29 at Target. Victoria had exchanged the first one. I bought a pink cardigan from Nordstrom because it was too extravagant. I'll be right there, sweetheart. She hesitated. Are you okay? You look sad. I smiled. It felt like wearing a mask. I'm fine. Just thinking about Grandma. That was safe. That was acceptable. Missing Margaret was an emotion they permitted me. Emma nodded and closed the door. I stood up, straightened my shirt, picked up the laundry basket, and carried it to Marcus and Victoria's bedroom. I set it on the chair by the window, all the clothes folded and organized. Shirts on the left, pants on the right, underwear and socks in the middle. I would finish out the week. I would cook and clean and be the ghost they wanted. And when the courier arrived tomorrow with the lease agreement and the formal notice, I would be standing right there in the living room, watching. I went downstairs. The dining table was set. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans. I'd prepped everything that morning before they woke up. Put the chicken in at 4:30 so it would be ready by 6. Victoria was pouring wine. Marcus was checking his phone. The girls were arguing about something that happened at school. Nobody looked up when I sat down. This looks great, Dad, Marcus said absently. Victoria cut into her chicken, took a bite. Little dry. I nodded. Said, nothing. We ate in the kind of silence that families mistake for peace. I chewed slowly, tasted nothing, watched them. Victoria's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled. The Hendersons want us to join them at the club this weekend. I told Sarah we'd love to. The club, the country club Victoria had joined 6 months ago. $3,000 initiation fee, $500 a month in dues. She'd mentioned once she wished I wouldn't come to family events there because I didn't fit the aesthetic. I was wearing khakis and a button-down shirt, the same thing every other 70-year-old man there was wearing. Sounds nice, Marcus said. Emma looked at me. Will you come, Grandpa? Victoria answered before I could. Grandpa doesn't really enjoy those kinds of things, sweetie. Too crowded. I'd never said that. I'd never been asked. Oh, Emma's face fell. Okay. I reached over and squeezed her hand. I'll make you those pizzelles you like. You can bring them to your friends at school. Her face brightened. Really? Really? Victoria's expression tightened. Just slightly. Just enough. After dinner, I cleared the table, loaded the dishwasher, wiped down the counters. Marcus went upstairs to help the girls with homework. Victoria retreated to the living room with her wine and her phone. I stood at the sink and looked out the window at the backyard, at the hydrangeas blooming in neat rows, at the stone border I'd built, at the small vegetable garden I'd planted in the corner, tomatoes and basil and zucchini that nobody ate because Victoria said homegrown vegetables were unpredictable. Tomorrow, everything would change. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the dark and stared at the ceiling and thought about Margaret. She would have known what to say. She always did. When Marcus was 16 and wrecked the car, when he dropped out of grad school to propose to Victoria, when he took the corporate job he hated because it paid, well, Margaret always knew the right words. You can't protect him from his choices, she'd said once. You can only love him through the consequences. I'd loved him through 9 years of consequences. Through credit card debt and career pivots, and Victoria's spending habits, and the slow realization that my son had become someone I didn't quite recognize. But I was done protecting him. At 6 a.m., I got up, made coffee, read the newspaper. The Dow was up. There was a drought in California. A local politician had been indicted for fraud. Normal. Everything was normal. Except it wasn't. At 8:30, Marcus left for work, kissed Victoria, told the girls to have a good day at school, nodded at me. See you tonight, Dad. See you. At 9, the girls left for school. The bus stop was 2 blocks away. Victoria drove them anyway, because walking was unsafe. By 9:15, the house was quiet. Victoria was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone with a cup of coffee. She was wearing yoga pants and an expensive-looking top. Her hair was in a ponytail. She looked young, pretty, nothing like the voice I'd heard yesterday. "Good morning," I said. She glanced up. "Morning. Are you going to the grocery store today? We're out of almond milk." "I'll pick some up. Thanks." She went back to her phone. I poured myself another cup of coffee and sat at the table. Watched her. She looked up after a minute. "Something wrong?" "No. Just enjoying the quiet." She smiled. It was thin. "I know what you mean." At 2:15, the doorbell rang. Victoria was upstairs. I heard the shower running. She'd been at the gym. Came back an hour ago in designer workout clothes that still had the tags tucked inside. I opened the door. A courier stood there with a clipboard and a large envelope. "Delivery for Marcus and Victoria Brennan." "I'll take it. I need a signature." I signed. He handed me the envelope and left. I stood in the doorway holding it. My name was in the return address. C. O. Rothman and Associates. I could hear the water shut off upstairs. I walked to the kitchen and set the envelope on the counter. Centered it perfectly in front of the coffee maker where Victoria would see it immediately. Then I went to my room and started packing. I didn't have much. Clothes. A few books. The photo album Margaret had made of our life together. My father's watch. The rosary beads from my mother's funeral. Everything fit in 2 suitcases. I heard Victoria come downstairs. Heard her heels click on the hardwood. Heard the rustle of paper. Then silence. I zipped the second suitcase and sat on the bed. Footsteps. Fast. Coming down the hall. My door flew open. Victoria stood there holding the envelope. Her face was white. Her hand was shaking. "What is this?" I looked at her. "It's a lease agreement, and a notice that your rent-free arrangement is ending. You own this building?" "I've owned it since 1998. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Marcus said. "He said we were paying a mortgage." "You are. You're paying the building's operating costs, property taxes, maintenance fees, management company. I've been putting the rest into an account for repairs. But," she looked down at the papers, "this says $3,500 a month. Market rate. Market rate is $2,800. I stood up, picked up my suitcases. "Then I'm overcharging. You're welcome to negotiate with the property manager. His number's on the letterhead." She stepped in front of me. "You can't do this." "I can." "I am. You're doing this because of what I said yesterday." Her eyes were wide. Panicked. "You heard me. In Marcus's office." "I did. I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." I kept my voice level. Calm. "You meant every word. And that's fine. You want me to contribute or leave. So I'm leaving. And you can start contributing." "Where are you going to go?" "That's not your concern anymore." She grabbed my arm. Marcus will never forgive you for this. I looked down at her hand. She let go. Marcus has known I own this building since his wedding day. He's had 9 years to tell you. He chose not to. That's between you and him. I walked past her. Down the hall. Down the stairs. She followed. This is cruel. You're punishing us for one conversation. For me being honest about my feelings. I stopped at the front door. Turned. Victoria, I've spent 3 years washing your clothes and cooking your meals and raising your children while you complained that I didn't fit your aesthetic. I've drained my savings buying birthday gifts you returned and Christmas presents you regifted. I built your backyard garden with my own hands, and you told me homegrown vegetables were unpredictable. You want to talk about cruelty? Let's talk about making a man who lost his wife feel like a ghost in his own property. Her face flushed. I never. You did. Every day. In 1,000 small ways. I opened the door. The lease starts in 60 days. That gives you time to figure out if you can afford to stay. If you can't, the property manager can help you find a more affordable option. You son of a bitch. I smiled. For the first time in 3 years, it felt real. That's my mother you're talking about. She was a saint. I'm just her son. I walked out and closed the door behind me. The afternoon sun was bright, warm. I stood on the front steps of my own building and breathed. My truck was parked on the street. A 2012 Ford F-150. Paid off, reliable. I'd been letting Marcus use it on weekends when he needed to haul things from Home Depot. I loaded my suitcases into the bed and climbed in. My phone rang. Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again and again. I turned it off and drove. I didn't have a plan. Not yet. But Joel Rothman had a plan. I called him from a gas station 20 minutes later. Tommy, did they get the delivery? They got it. And I'm homeless and liberated. You know any short-term rentals? Joel laughed. I know a furnished 1-bedroom in Journal Square. Month to month. Quiet building. Owner's a friend. I'll take it. You don't want to see it first? Does it have a bed and a kitchen? Both. Then I'll take it. By 6 p.m., I was sitting in a small apartment with hardwood floors and a view of the street. The furniture was mismatched, but clean. The kitchen was tiny but functional. It was perfect. I unpacked my suitcases, made the bed, sat in the single armchair by the window, and watched the sun set. My phone was still off. I'd turn it on tomorrow. Deal with Marcus tomorrow. Tonight I just wanted to sit in the quiet and feel like a person again instead of a ghost. I ordered Chinese food from the place downstairs. Kung Pao chicken and fried rice. Ate it straight from the container while sitting at the small kitchen table. It was the best meal I'd had in 3 years. At 8 p.m., I turned. On my phone, 17 missed calls. 12 from Marcus. 5 from a number I didn't recognize. 8 voicemails. I listened to the first one. Dad, what the hell? Victoria's hysterical. Call me back. The second. Dad, you can't just leave like this. We need to talk. The third. This is insane. You're really going to charge us rent? After everything? After everything. I almost laughed. The fourth message was different. It was Emma. Grandpa, Mom says you left. Are you coming back? I miss you. I closed my eyes. That one hurt. The fifth was Victoria. Her voice was tight, controlled. Thomas, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Can we please sit down and discuss this like adults? I'm sure we can come to some arrangement. The sixth was Marcus again. Dad, Victoria told me what she said. She didn't mean it. She's stressed. We're all stressed. Just come back and we'll figure this out. The seventh was the unknown number. A woman's voice. Professional. Mr. Brennan, this is Lindsay Porter from Heritage Property Management. I received a call from your tenants at 2247 Belmont Avenue requesting a rent reduction. I wanted to confirm your position before responding. Please call me back. I deleted all of them except Emma's. That one I saved. Then I called Joel. How was the apartment? Good. I need another favor. Go. Contact Heritage Property Management. Tell them the rent is non-negotiable. If my tenants can't afford it, help them find another place. And Joel? Yeah? I want a full audit of the building's finances. Every payment Marcus and Victoria have made. Every repair I've covered personally. Every expense. I want it documented. You going to need this for something? Maybe. Maybe not. But I want the numbers. You got it. I hung up and sat back in the armchair. Through the window, I could see people walking dogs, a couple holding hands, a kid on a skateboard. Normal life. The kind I used to have. The kind I was going to build again. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Please call me. I turned the phone face down and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up at 6 out of habit, made coffee, realized I didn't have a newspaper. I walked to the corner deli and bought one. The guy behind the counter was my age. Gray hair, thick accent, Russian maybe. You new in the building? He asked. Just moved in yesterday. Welcome. You need anything? You ask. Best sandwiches in Journal Square. I smiled. I'll remember that. I walked back to the apartment with the paper tucked under my arm and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. No laundry to fold. No meals to prep. No schedule built around someone else's needs. Just me. And the day ahead. And the quiet. I spent the morning setting up the apartment. Bought some groceries. Found a small Italian market 3 blocks away that sold fresh pasta and real mozzarella. At noon, my phone rang. Joel. Got the audit started. Should have. Preliminary numbers by tomorrow. But Tommy, I gotta ask, are you doing okay? Really? I'm fine. Because this is a big move. And I know you're still grieving, Margaret. Joel. I've been grieving Margaret for 3 years, while being treated like an inconvenience in my own property. I'm done grieving in silence. He was quiet for a moment. Okay, just wanted to make sure. I appreciate it. One more thing. Heritage called me. Your tenants want to meet with you. Discuss options. Tell them to discuss options with Heritage. That's what I pay them for. You sure? Positive. That afternoon, I walked to the library, got a card, checked out 3 books, A History of the Brooklyn Bridge, a novel Margaret had always meant to read, a cookbook focused on regional Italian dishes. I sat in the reading room for 2 hours and didn't think about Marcus or Victoria or the building once. At 4 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Brennan? This is Principal Hoffman, from Riverside Elementary. I have Emma here in my office. She's asking to call you. My chest tightened. Is she okay? She's fine, but she's upset. She says she needs to talk to her grandfather. Her parents aren't answering. Put her on. A pause. Then, Emma's voice, small and shaky. Grandpa? Hey, sweetheart. What's wrong? Mom and Dad are fighting. Really bad. They've been fighting since you left. Mom's crying all the time, and Dad keeps yelling, and I wanted to hear your voice. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, Emma. Why did you leave? How do you explain this to a 10-year-old? How do you tell her that sometimes love isn't enough? That sometimes people take and take until there's nothing left to give? Sometimes grown-ups need space to figure things out, I said carefully. It's not about you. You didn't do anything wrong. Are you coming back? I don't think so, sweetheart. Silence. Then, quietly, I miss you. I miss you too. Can I visit you? I hadn't thought about that. Hadn't thought past the anger and the leaving and the relief of being gone. Of course you can. Any time you want. Do you have something to write with? Hold on. Rustling. Okay. I gave her the address. You tell your mom or dad when you want to visit, and they can bring you. Okay? Okay. Emma, I need you to do something for me. What? I need you to be strong. Your mom and dad are going through a hard time right now, but they love you, and so do I. That doesn't change. Promise? Promise. Principal Hoffman got back on the line. Her mother just arrived. Thank you for taking the call, Mr. Brennan. Thank you for letting her reach me. I hung up and sat there in the library with the phone in my hand. This was harder than I thought it would be. The girls. I hadn't fully considered the girls, but I also couldn't go back. Couldn't put myself back in that house and that role and that life. I had to believe they'd understand someday. That evening, Joel called with preliminary numbers. Okay, here's what I've got so far. Over the past 9 years, Marcus and Victoria have paid you roughly $450,000 in what they believe were mortgage payments. And the actual building expenses, property taxes, maintenance, management fees, insurance, about $320,000 total. So there's $130,000 surplus sitting in the building's operating account. Yes. What did I pay out of pocket? Still compiling, but so far I'm seeing about $40,000 in repairs and improvements you covered personally. The backyard renovation, new appliances for 3 of the units including theirs, roof repair in 2019, $40,000, plus 3 years of groceries and utilities and gifts, and the property value. Current market assessment puts the building at about $1.2 million. You own it free and clear. $1.2 million. I'd bought it for $350,000 in 1998. Thanks, Joel. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I want everything documented. Every number, every receipt, every payment. You anticipating a legal challenge? I'm anticipating everything. That night, I cooked dinner. Pasta carbonara. The real kind, with guanciale and pecorino, romano and patience. I ate it slowly, savoring every bite. Then I poured a glass of wine and sat by the window and watched the street below. People coming home from work. Lives in motion. The world turning without me having to turn it. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Dad, please. We need to talk. The girls are asking for you. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. I'm available to meet. Name the time and place. The response came immediately. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Coffee shop on Montgomery. Just you and me. See you there. I set the phone down and finished my wine. Tomorrow, I'd face my son. Tomorrow, I'd hear what he had to say. But tonight, I was just a man in his own apartment, drinking wine and feeling free. And that was enough. The coffee shop was busy when I arrived at 9:55. Young professionals on laptops. Students studying. The smell of espresso and baked goods. Marcus was already there, sitting at a corner table. He looked tired. Lines around his eyes I hadn't noticed before. I ordered a black coffee and sat down across from him. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Marcus said, "You look good." "I feel good." He winced. "Dad, I don't even know where to start." "Start with the truth. You've known I owned that building since your wedding. Why didn't you tell Victoria?" He stared into his coffee. At first it didn't seem important. You said it was a gift. No rent, just utilities. And Victoria was so happy about the apartment. It was perfect for us, great location, and I didn't want to complicate things. So you lied. I didn't lie. I just didn't correct her assumptions for 9 years. It got harder as time went on. She thought we were building equity, thought we were working toward something. If I told her the truth, she'd realize we'd been living off your charity. It wasn't charity. You're my son. To you, maybe. But to Victoria? She'd see it as dependence, weakness. Her parents are wealthy, Dad, self-made. They never needed help from anyone. She has this thing about being independent. I took a sip of coffee. She has a thing about a lot of things. Marcus looked up. She told me what she said, about you being a burden, about the rent. And she was wrong. She knows that now. Does she? Or is she just sorry she got caught? Marcus flinched. That's not fair. Marcus, I spent 3 years in that house, doing everything I could to help you, to be useful, to earn my place, and your wife treated me like hired help. No worse than hired help. She treated me like an embarrassment. She didn't. She did. And you let her. The words hung between us. Marcus's face went red. What was I supposed to do? She's my wife, and I'm your father. You think I didn't notice? You think I didn't see you taking her side every time? The comments about my cooking, the suggestions I'd be happier somewhere else. The way you both stopped including me in family conversations. We were trying to give you space. You were trying to make me disappear. Marcus slumped back in his chair. What do you want from me, Dad? You want me to apologize? Fine. I'm sorry. I should have stood up for you more. I should have told Victoria the truth from the beginning. I'm sorry. I don't want an apology, Marcus. I want you to understand something. What? I didn't leave because I'm angry. I left because I'm 71 years old, and I don't have time to spend it with people who don't want me there. His eyes filled. I want you there. No. You want a father who's convenient, who helps out but doesn't get in the way, who's grateful for scraps. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time you asked me how I was doing? Really doing? When's the last time you sat with me and just talked? Not about the girls, or the house, or errands. About life. About Mom. About anything real. Marcus opened his mouth. Closed it. He had no answer. I'm not coming back, I said quietly. Not to live. I'll see the girls whenever they want. But I'm done living in your guest room and pretending I'm not dying a little bit every day. What about the rent? Dad, we can't afford $3,500 a month. Not with the girls' school and Victoria's club membership and then move. We've been there 9 years. The girls' school is in that district. All their friends are there. Figure it out. That's what adults do. Marcus stared at me. You're really going to do this. You're going to make us move. I'm going to charge fair market rent for my property. What you do with that information is your choice. He stood up abruptly. You know what? Fine. We'll move. We'll figure it out. But don't expect us to come running when you're old and sick and actually need help. I looked up at him. Marcus, I needed help 3 years ago. When your mother died and I lost everything trying to save her, I needed help and you offered it and I took it. But help isn't supposed to come with shame. It isn't supposed to come with conditions and resentment and being made to feel like a burden. His jaw worked. This is really how you want to leave things? This is how things are. The rest is up to you. He turned and walked out. I sat there finishing my coffee. My hands were shaking now, but not from fear, from release. I'd said it, all of it, the things I'd swallowed for 3 years, and the world hadn't ended. I paid for my coffee and walked out into the morning sun. My phone rang. Joel, how'd it go? About as well as expected. He's angry. He'll get over it. Maybe. Tommy, I got the full audit done. You want to see it? Send it over. An hour later, I was sitting in my apartment staring at a spreadsheet. The numbers were worse than I thought. Over 3 years, I'd paid $47,000 in personal expenses related to the house and the family. Gifts, groceries, home improvements, repairs to their cars, the new washer and dryer Victoria wanted, the deck furniture, the painting of the living room and kitchen. $47,000 I'd covered because I thought that's what family did. And I'd done it from a savings account that started at $62,000. After Margaret's medical bills and the house sale, I had $11,000 left. I looked at the number for a long time. Then I called Lindsay Porter at Heritage Property Management. Mr. Brennan, thank you for getting back to me. Lindsay, my tenants at 2247 Belmont. Have they given notice? Not yet. They're asking for more time to secure alternate financing. I think they're hoping you'll reconsider the rate. The rate stands. If they can't pay it, I need them out in 60 days, so I can find tenants who can. Understood. I'll let them know. One more thing. I want to raise rents on the other 5 units as well. Market rate for all of them. Send out notices this week. All 5? All 5. It's time this property started performing to its potential. I'll draw up the notices today. I hung up and felt nothing. No guilt, no hesitation, just clarity. The next week passed in a strange, quiet rhythm. I woke up when I wanted, cooked what I wanted, read, walked, sat in cafes, and listened to other people's conversations. I called Emma twice. Both times Victoria answered and made excuses about why Emma couldn't come to the phone. Dance class, homework, playdates. I didn't push. On Friday evening, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Emma standing there with a small backpack. Behind her, looking uncomfortable, was Victoria. Hi, Grandpa, Emma said quietly. Hi, sweetheart. I looked at Victoria. She's been asking for a week, Victoria said. Her voice was flat, neutral. I thought it was time. Come in. Emma slipped past me. Victoria stayed in the doorway. Can I talk to you for a minute? She asked. I stepped into the hall and closed the door. Victoria looked different, smaller, somehow. Her hair was pulled back, no makeup. She was wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt. I owe you an apology, she said. A real one. I waited. What I said, the things I said about you, they were cruel and unfair, and I've been thinking about it every day since you left. Okay, Marcus told me you've been covering expenses for years. Things I didn't even realize. I thought. She stopped. Started again. I thought we were doing fine. I thought we were building something together. And then I found out we've been living in your building rent-free while you bankrupted yourself helping us. I didn't bankrupt myself. You're down to $11,000 in savings, Thomas, Joel told Marcus. Marcus told me. I said nothing. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you tell us you were struggling? I wasn't struggling. I was contributing. By destroying your own security? By helping my family? That's what I thought I was doing. She looked away. We're moving. End of the month. Marcus found a place in Nutley. It's smaller, farther from the girls' school. But we can afford it. Good. Emma doesn't know yet. We're going to tell her this weekend. I nodded. Victoria met my eyes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. for taking advantage, for being blind, for, her voice cracked, for making you feel unwelcome in your own property. Thank you for saying that. Does it change anything? I thought about that. It helps. But no, it doesn't change anything. She nodded, wiped her eyes. Can she stay for a few hours? She can stay as long as she wants. Victoria managed a small smile. She missed you. She's been drawing pictures of you all week. Tell Marcus I'll drop her off around 8. Victoria left. I went back inside. Emma was sitting on the couch, looking around the small apartment with wide eyes. This is nice, Grandpa. It's cozy. You think so? Yeah. It feels like you. I didn't know what to say to that. We ordered pizza, played cards. She showed me her drawings, mostly horses and rainbows, but one of an old man with a big smile standing in a garden. That's you, she said. I can see that. You look happy. I am happy. She tilted her head. Are you happier now than when you lived with us? God, the questions kids ask. I'm different kinds of happy, I said carefully. When I lived with you, I was happy because I got to see you every day. Now, I'm happy because I have my own space. Both kinds are good. But you're not coming back. No, sweetheart, I'm not. She nodded slowly. Mom says we're moving. I heard. She says it's because of money. I chose my words carefully. Sometimes families need to make changes. It doesn't mean anything bad. It just means things are shifting. I'll still see you, right? Anytime you want. She hugged me then, tight and fierce. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too, Emma. At 8, I drove her home. Marcus answered the door. We didn't speak. I handed Emma her backpack, kissed her forehead, and left. On the drive back, I felt the weight of it all. The loss, the change, the permanence. But underneath it all was something else. Relief. The next month unfolded with a kind of momentum I hadn't expected. Marcus and Victoria moved out on schedule. Heritage Property Management found new tenants within 2 weeks, a young couple, both doctors, who were happy to pay $3,500 a month for a 3-bedroom in that neighborhood. The other units filled quickly too. The building was generating just over $11,000 a month in rental income now. After expenses, I was clearing about $7,500. My savings account started to rebuild. I started consulting part-time for a small construction firm that needed someone with site management experience. 20 hours a week. Enough to stay busy, not enough to consume me. I joined a senior center not for bingo and shuffleboard, but for the woodworking shop and the book club and the twice-weekly Italian conversation group. I met people, made friends, had coffee with a woman named Grace who'd lost her husband 5 years ago and understood what it meant to rebuild a life from grief. Emma visited every other weekend. Sometimes I'd pick her up from school and we'd get ice cream and talk about her day. She seemed lighter somehow, happier. In December, 3 months after I'd left, Marcus called. Dad, can we talk? We met at the same coffee shop. He looked better, less tired. The lines around his eyes had softened. How are you? I asked. Good. Actually good. The new place is smaller, but it's ours. We're renting, but we're building actual savings now. And Victoria, he paused. She's different. In therapy. Working through some things about money and control and her childhood. That's good. She wanted me to tell you something. She said to say, thank you. For what? For the wake-up call. For forcing us to face reality. We were living beyond our means and pretending everything was fine. You leaving. It broke that illusion. I sipped my coffee. And you? How are you doing with all of it? Marcus looked down. I'm ashamed. When I think about how we treated you, how I let her treat you. He shook his head. I don't know how to fix it. You can't fix it. You can only do better going forward. Is that enough? It'll have to be. He nodded slowly. I want you in our lives, Dad. The girls need their grandfather. And I need my father. Not as a tenant or a helper. As my dad. I'm still here, Marcus. I've always been here. I know. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. We talked for another hour. Really talked. About Margaret. About his job and his marriage and his fears. About my new life and my plans. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was a beginning. As I drove home that afternoon, I thought about the past year. About loss and anger and the long road from humiliation to peace. I thought about Margaret and what she would say. She'd probably say, I did the right thing. That love without dignity isn't love. That family should make you feel bigger, not smaller. She'd probably also say I was stubborn and dramatic and could have handled it better. She'd be right on both counts. That evening I sat by the window with a glass of wine and watched the street below. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Made you something in art class. Bringing it next weekend. Love you, Grandpa. I smiled and typed back. Can't wait to see it. Love you too, sweetheart. The city lights flickered on as dusk settled. Car, horns, distant music. The sound of people living their lives. I was one of them now. Not a ghost, not a burden. Just a man who'd learned that sometimes the greatest act of love is teaching people what you're worth. And I was worth more than a guest room and folded laundry and silent resentment. I was worth showing up for. Worth considering. Worth keeping. It had taken 71 years and a daughter-in-law's cruelty to learn that lesson. But I'd learned it, and I wasn't going back. Not to that house. Not to that life. Not to being invisible. I finished my wine and looked at the reflection in the window. An old man, gray hair, lined face, tired eyes, but standing straight, taking up space, present, real. I raised my glass to the reflection. Here's to you, Tommy. You finally figured it out. Then I went to the kitchen and started making Sunday gravy. The real kind. 6-hour simmer. The smell would fill the apartment and drift into the hall and maybe make the neighbors hungry. And tomorrow I'd call Grace and see if she wanted to come over for dinner. Not because I needed someone, but because I wanted someone. There's a difference. And after 71 years, I'd finally learned to tell them apart. The sauce bubbled on the stove. Tomatoes and garlic and basil and thyme. All the ingredients of something good. All the ingredients of a life rebuilt. I stirred the pot and smiled. This was home now. This small apartment with its mismatched furniture and its view of the street and its silence that belonged only to me. This was where I lived, where I mattered, where I took up space without apology. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything. If you liked this story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to more stories, click on the window on the right. Thank you for being with us.